energy. What is energy? Energy is the ability to do work or to create change. There is a law dealing with energy called the law of conservation of energy, and much like the law of conservation of mass, which you studied in chemistry, and the law of conservation of momentum, which we just finished, energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be manipulated from one form to another. Energy is constant, but the forms, which we'll talk about a little bit next, are going to continually change. There are two forms of energy. The first is called potential energy, and the second is called kinetic energy. So we have potential energy and we have kinetic energy. Potential energy is the energy that's stored. That's why we call it potential, because it has the potential to do something. It's when an object is still or at rest or not moving. The equation for potential energy, we use the letter E to talk about energy, and I'm just going to put sub P so that we know that it is potential. Okay. Potential energy is equal to mass times gravity times height. The EP stands for potential energy, M stands for mass, G stands for gravity, gravitational acceleration, and the H is the height the object is from the ground. Energy is measured in joules. This is a new unit that we really haven't seen. So all energies will be measured in this new unit, and it is abbreviated by the letter J. Kinetic energy is when an object is now in motion, so we just call it the energy of motion. The equation for kinetic energy is still going to be represented by the letter E for energy, and instead of potential, now we're going to put a little K that represents kinetic, so that we know that that's kinetic. And the two variables that we use that affect kinetic energy are mass and velocity. So the equation is 1/2 of the mass of an object times the square of its velocity. Because it is still an energy, it is measured in joules. Even though it's not potential energy, it is kinetic energy. All energy will be measured in joules. There are 6 forms of energy. Generally, there are many others, but we're going to focus kind of on these 6 and not even on all of these. The first is mechanical, thermal, chemical, nuclear, electromagnetic, and electrical. Like I said, there are other forms. Some of these you've already seen, some are going to be new, and some we're just going to touch base on. Mechanical energy is the energy related to the motion or position of an object, so how something is moving or where it's located. Some examples of that are ocean waves, an earthquake, and sound, the way that sound waves travel. Thermal energy is heat energy that comes from the motion of particles. When particles start moving really, really fast, they end up giving off heat energy, and that's thermal energy. Nuclear energy is energy from changes that happen within the nucleus of the atoms, hence the name nuclear. And when we talk about inside the nucleus, we're talking about protons and neutrons and what happens with those particles within the nucleus. And they can actually give off energy as well. Electromagnetic energy is what we call radiant wave energy. It's something that you're probably pretty familiar with. If you watch television, use the microwave, listen to the radio, use light of any kind. These waves are things that are very useful to us. Chemical energy is the energy released from chemical bonds of molecules. So when bonds are broken, they will give off energy, and this type of energy we call chemical energy. And the last type of energy that you are probably familiar with is electrical energy. And electrical energy is just the energy from moving electrical charges.